The history, literature, and famous cases of the yips. So what are the yips? The yips are something we've all felt at one point, but in sports it's a descriptor of an extreme sense of anxiety combined with a complete malfunction of muscle memory systems. For example, forgetting how to tie your shoes, but on a much larger scale surrounded by thousands and thousands of people. The yips have always been around, but the term for it wasn't coined until a 20th century golfer named Tommy Armour coined the term. While most of the literature and dialogue on the occurrences have been about golf, it has had famous cases in every sport. The first study we're going to talk about today happened in 2009 by Marquette. This study focused on golfers and linked the yips to anxiety, over-control, interference, and overthinking the problem occurring. This study also hypothesized that the yips are a contextual movement disorder. The next study was a multi-step study that also focused on golfers done by Smith et al. In 2000. The first step in the study, they sent out a questionnaire to 2,630 golfers and basically asked them if they had thought they had experienced the yips before. 52% of the respondents said yes, while 48% said no. The second step of the study was hooking up respondents to a heart rate monitor while they were competing, which found that the people that had said yes, on average, had a higher heart rate than the no group. The yes group also performed worse in more stressful situations like a close putt. The last study we're going to talk about today was a literature review on the topic of the yips done by Philip Clark. This study further defined the yips as a neuromuscular movement disorder. In this, Clark also talked about how a large majority of the studies have been about the phenomenon in golf and that it need to be branched out, which I also realized just researching this topic. High-profile cases of the yips. Probably the most high-profile case in baseball occurred with Rick Ankiel. Rick Ankiel was a 21-year-old pitcher set to start for the St. Louis Cardinals in the 2000 NLDS, the first round of baseball's playoffs back then. In the first inning, everything went okay. The second inning, everything went okay. A little bit of traffic on the bases, but not much. The third inning, Rick Ankiel set a playoff record for the most wild pitches in a start by throwing 5 within one inning. The Cardinals knew the pressure of him starting in the playoffs and were afraid of this exact thing happening, so they sent their Game 2 starter to speak to the media before Game 1, so that way they could try and shield Ankiel from the pressure. Daniel Bard was one of baseball's best relief pitchers from 2009 to 2011, but in 2012 the wheels came off and he just, like Ankiel, couldn't find the plate. He came back in 2020 and was able to reestablish himself as a dominant reliever. And while both Bard and Ankiel show that the yips can be overcome, they've shown it in very different ways. Ankiel was never able to find what made him that dominant starter he was in his rookie year in 2000, and he had to later come back to the majors as a position player. Bard was able to come back and be the dominant, or his dominant old self. Simone Biles is probably the most high-profile case of the yips of all time. It occurred for her right before the 2021 Olympics and forced her to withdraw from most of the event. And when she was describing the situation on Instagram after her pulling out of a couple of the events, she said, "Literally cannot tell up from down. It's the craziest feeling ever, not having an inch of control over your body." Possible treatments for the yips can include seeing a sports psychologist. This can help improve the lost confidence in the athlete, help them understand why they were going through it. They can spend time away from the sport in order to help reset their mind. They can also work on the mechanics that have been affected by the yips. This is just the reference page. I got nothing interesting to say here.